This is a concrete hopper. I've been wanting one of these for a while to try to cut down on cost. Sometimes I need a pump truck, and having this might help so that I don't need that. So right now this goes on a skid steer. It's got the regular quick attach. It's about 3/4 of a yard. It's got a hydraulic chute on it, and it's got an extension too. You can put this on to extend it out a little bit further. So this being used on a skid steer would probably help out a little bit here and there, but the main reason I got this is to actually put on my excavator, my Deere 80C, which is about a 18,000 pound machine. I want to put this on there so that I can actually reach up and out a lot more than you could with a skid steer. So what I'm going to do is make an attachment to convert my excavator to take skid steer attachments. The main purpose being this first, but also for other attachments too. I figured if I could put this on that 80, I have a lot of reach with that thing, and I can also go down with it if I'm trying to like backfill a foundation, and I can also go up with it if I'm trying to put concrete into a foundation that's up. So I should be able to use it for stone and concrete. It should actually see a lot of use. I have a lot of plans for it. So this is a Laughlin, and Equipment Outfitters helped me out with this. If you guys are in the need for some good quality attachments, they carry the good stuff. I have another Laughlin bucket, and it seems to hold up really good. But before we can even get into using this, we need to convert my excavator over. I don't have the excavator at this property right now. It's over on the job, so I'm hoping that I can fabricate everything I need here and then bring it over to there. So I ordered this, which I could have made, but for how cheap these are, I just ordered them. It comes with these ears, it comes with 2 of them, plus it comes with the pins, and it's like $300. So then on top of that, we just need these, which these were pretty cheap. It was like $100 for the pair of them. So I have to find a way to adapt from these to these ears here. And to give you an idea, the angle that we need is about like that. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit complicated. It's not something that we can just like weld one to the other. We gotta weld some sort of contraption that will connect the two. And keeping in mind that the pins need to go through, and this is gonna be way in as well. These can't be out here. So we have to be able to have free travel for this lever and all this here. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've also seen other designs, but I wasn't really happy with most of them. I don't want a lot of distance between these pins and this wedge right here. And a lot of the designs that I saw did just that. Like, it was like way up here like this. And I just don't think that that's necessary. The leverage that it's going to create by doing that is leverage that I don't want it to have. I don't want that bucket to be really far away from these pins. The more leverage on the end of that boom while it's extended on the excavator, the less you can pick up. Either because the machine is maxed out on hydraulics or because it's going to tip over the machine. Now I have a blade on that machine, so if it's over the front while I have the blade down, it probably won't be a problem with tipping over. But I can see that facing whatever you're doing is not always going to work. So I might be over the side of the excavator sometimes. So I got to make it I got to keep it as short as possible between those pins and that quick change. And the goal is to be able to pick up a full, I believe this is 3/4 of a yard, which is about 3,000 pounds of concrete. So what I'm thinking is continuing up the bottom angle just for a little bit. Top angle could almost match the bottom angle, but it doesn't really matter. think that needs to come up quite a bit more. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing this, so we'll see where it goes, but that's the joys of just using cardboard for now. So now I will have to put some gussets on this, something like that. But I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do with that yet. I'm almost thinking, put this all the way, that's all the way up. Should almost put this thing like that. Because then I could have gussets on both sides. Really, the only place that's going to see a lot of pressure and tension is going to be towards the edge here. This here doesn't really matter. So we could totally apply all the force to right here. Because most of these buckets, anything that you're going to attach this, most things anyways, the force is going to be all right here. Because the side of it is where the strength is. So when you're picking this up, you're picking it up from the side. This is the part that's got all of the racking strength. When you pull back and push on the bottom, this is taking the brunt of that. So building this to where this is on the inside like this is not really that great in my opinion. Because now you're putting the force in here more, and that's gonna basically just stretch this, like this part right here, this little flange right here, that's gonna pull back on that when you go like this with a lot of weight on it. So keeping that force out as far as you can to the edge is better. So in between the ears, I need 8 inches. So my plan was to put something like this to go, yeah, about like that. A square tube like this to connect both of them together. One on the top, one on the bottom, and then we should be able to just kind of connect to that. But here's where it gets tricky. We're not trying to do this. We're trying to do this. I think we could probably weld this to this, but that's obviously not enough. I say what we need to do is go ahead and cut these pieces out. I have some 8-inch flat bar I have different sizes. I have 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. I really don't think it's necessary to go crazy on the steel. I want to keep the weight down. I don't think 1/2 inch is necessary. I think most of the stuff I'm going to be using is 1/4 inch. So I think I'm going to just cut this out a 1/4 inch. I think that's the only way to really handle this is get this cut out, and then we'll get our square tubes cut out, connect the two together, make this thing one unit first, and then I think we can kind of improvise from there. I think we're looking at kind of 2 different parts of the project. Number 1, getting this to be a unit. Number 2, adapting those ears to this unit. Gussets we can do later. For right now, I want to get the bare minimum together, tack weld it, bring it over to the excavator, try it, make sure the movements are all good, make sure the angles are good, and then we can worry about gussets and welding everything together.
like it.
Okay, so I had to cut that little part that goes up to here off because that kind of interferes with the quick attach. I think this will be fine now. So I thought it should be 45 inches between outside to outside on that, but I was just looking at those forks right there and they're only about 44 and a half. So you need to be less than that. So I'm gonna go with 44 and a quarter. So I got this piece of 2x2 square stock, 1/4 inch thick, and I've used this many times as a breaker bar for breaking piston nuts off of big hydraulic cylinders. So I ended up cutting 2 ends off, one on each end. And we're just gonna use this. So far the only steel I have in this is just those 2 ears and these 2. Everything else that I'm using is scrap that I have around. So here's the hard part, I'm trying to figure out the angle that I need. So I tested out my excavator, and when I put the boom all the way up and the stick all the way up, my pins are about level. So I need some forward angle from there to be able to dump something. So if I put the pins like this, where they're exactly a 90-degree angle from this, then with the boom all the way up, the bucket would be flat. So what I need to do is angle it back slightly so that I still have some tipping once I get it all the way up in the air, which I probably never have it all the way up in the air, but I want to make sure that I get full range. And why not have the ability to do something from way up in the air, as long as when I tuck the boom all the way in, I can still tip it up slightly, like you would do when you grab something with the forks. So when the boom and the stick is tucked all the way in, I need to have a slight angle going up. As long as I have that, then there's no reason not to have a slight dump angle once I put this all the way in the air. Now come up 2 inches. Do that. Round it over slightly. Or not, I'll just fill that in with weld. And so I'm pretty set with these square tubes. I could probably weld those up all the way. I could probably even put some gussets in, and that'll be permanent. I don't need to change anything about that. But this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because the quick coupler that I have needs a little bit of room. But I also want to cut a chunk out of this to weld directly to this. I don't want to just set it on top of it like that. That would be safe, I know it would. And if I came in just a little bit, that would also be safe, I'm sure it would. Coming in this deep is a little bit risky. So I think we need to just cut it out and then tack weld it on and then go test things out. The reason I'm saying it's risky is because this pin is going to be right next to this. And I know with my quick coupler, it's got something that kind of goes up and around, and I just hope it doesn't hit. So last night I went to the job site where the excavator is, and I tried this out just to make sure everything would fit. I brought you guys along, but you guys stayed in the truck because it was dark and it was raining. But you didn't really miss too much. Everything fit. The angles worked. The boom all the way up was able to dump it, and the boom all the way down was able to go up just enough to have the forks on there. The angle is perfect. And also this pin, which I was worried about this piece wrapping around, it was fine. It was about a 1/2 inch from hitting this piece. So everything's good to go. What we need to do now is take off as much of this as we can to make it easier to weld. Weld this all up, put some gussets on, and we're gonna figure out something for this right here. So I'm almost thinking the first thing we need to do to start this off is to put a piece going from here to here. I'm thinking maybe this C-channel put in between there to help this from spreading, and also to attach some pieces going down like a triangle, kind of like down here, down there. So most of the time, what I'm going to be using this for is going to be lifting something up, which is always going to be pushing down here, putting force down this way. Now, if I was to use this for a bucket and I was dragging it on the ground, it would be the opposite. It would be pulling up on here and pushing down on there. But I think I need to design it to handle both equally. You know, I'm thinking just for the ease of installation here, I think I'm just going to use 3/16 plate to make a big old triangle right here. putting these gussets in so that that plate right there can't move. Because as things are shaking around, that plate can definitely move. So I want to put a gusset, and I'm doing rectangle ones instead of triangles, because why not bring the gusset into this bar instead of just having a triangle like this? Just bring the whole gusset out so it's a rectangle. So there's one like this, which has a slight up angle to it, and then there's this one, which that right there is going to have a lot of force on it. It can flex like this, because that wedge is going to be what secures this thing to the implement. So I want to make sure I attach directly right next to it. And then the third gusset's going to be down here. And have one right there. So there's 3 gussets that'll make it so that this piece right here can't move like this. Because right now everything else is secure. This can't go like this. It also can't go like this. So everything from these pins to these bars is completely secure in every direction, every axis. Now we're just trying to secure this quick change adapter to this assembly with these bars. So I got this all welded up now. So let me share my thoughts on this. Basically, there's just all kinds of pulling and pushing going on. If the excavator is pulling up on the attachment, it's going to be pushing down there. So this right here, because steel lacks strength in compression, especially at 3/16, pushing, you could warp this thing by doing that. But because I got this 2.5-inch square tube here, it's actually going to be pushing on the tube, not this. And when it pushes on the tube, it's going to put tension on this 2-inch tube, which is going to pull on this web here. So what this is lacking in, it makes up for it right here. Because this can see a lot of compression. That won't be any problem at all. Now when the opposite applies, when you're pushing down on something, like if you're back dragging a bucket, you're going to be pulling up on that and pushing down on the front. So now everything is under tension. And tension is no problem at all with steel. Steel is meant to take tension. Then your weakest point would probably be the welds. But I think I did a pretty good job and I over-welded everything. I don't think it's necessary to totally weld this solid. Not in this spot anyway. Some spots you do want to do that. The forces on this is going to be right here and right here. And that's, all this other stuff is just kind of extra. So I think we got this covered. This can't rack. Tension is good. Compression is good. Let's just cross that off the list. This is good to go. The only other thing that could happen is this part could rack, but because I put that part instead of just going a triangle right to that corner. See, if I had put this right to that corner to there, then it wouldn't have this to help this from racking. But moving on, let's work our way to the other part of this. So first off, racking from this plate. Can't do it because of that gusset right there. Now also, this thing's getting heavier and heavier. Okay, so also, this under tension, it's going to be pulling on this square tube, obviously, but let's just say that that square tube isn't enough. Then we got these gussets. So it's pulling back on the square tube and fighting this gusset, which is going to make it so it can't bend this. Compression. You're going to be pushing on this tube, which is going to be the same thing right here where this helps that. It spreads the compression out to way out here. So the weak point, I guess, would be this 3/16 plate under compression could buckle. And that would be if I'm back dragging something, like if I got a bucket on and I'm pushing down and back dragging. I don't really see me doing that a lot. On a skid steer you do that a lot, but I don't really see doing that a lot on an excavator. If this is under compression and it's pushing, and let's just say this is a weak point because it's buckling, or it could buckle. I also have this plate here. So pushing straight down, which is exactly what you would do with the pin, you'd be, the forces would be that way. Same thing with this one. It would be directly perpendicular to the angle between the two of these. It would be perpendicular to that. So let's just say under compression, this tube could push this way. Well, it can't because I put this plate here. This plate here makes it so everything can't rack this way. Also, it makes it so if you're pulling up on this tube here, it also transfers the load to this tube too. So now both tubes would have to bend for this to actually bend this tube. Like say if you have tension straight up, and you can imagine this would try to bend, but it couldn't because it would transfer down to here. So then we go to these quick change plates here, and you can see I would like to see more gussets here, but you just can't because you got that. So as it is, I think I'm right at the max of what I can do. I can't go over this way at all because I need the range here for this thing. So nothing can go in here no matter what you do. You just can't help that. You might be able to bring something up from here to here, but when you have this on the attachment, all the force is going to be on the side here, like I said earlier. So I'm not worried about this part of it. So we got this gusset to keep this plate from racking. Got that gusset and the gusset on the bottom. So we got plenty of gussets for that. Same thing on that side, obviously. Before I paint this thing up, let's make sure it works backwards too, because I want it to work like this, where the implements are facing that way. It's going to be a miracle if it works though. It's like right down to about a 1/16 of an inch whether it works. So you can see these ears are just hitting on this tubing right here. And it's just enough, because they get a little bit wider as they go back. It's just enough to make it so I can't get this in. It's so close though. I bet if I wiggle it around, it'll probably go in, but then I might have a hard time getting it out. So I think I could shave down, grind down like a 1/16 on these ears and grind down a 1/16 on this tube, and I think that would work, which would be great, because that's a lot less work than I thought. I thought I was gonna have to redesign this bar right here and like overlap it with another bar on the front here and then cut that out. So I'm really glad to not have to do that. But let's just, I want to see if the motions are good, like the angles are good like this. It seems like it should be. But then again, that's not all the way down yet, so I guess we'll see in a second. I thought this was going to be a problem, but it kind of just avoids things. I think we got really lucky here. not something you see in an excavator every day. I could even hook it up because I got the same quick connects. That was the idea. If I unhook the thumb, I could definitely put this thing on here. I think this thing is exceeding my expectations. Look at the angle on that. The boom and the stick are all the way up, maxed out. And that thing has a slight, like maybe 10-degree angle, still pitching down. That's just enough. It's perfect. The problem is if you go with too much of an angle down, then when you get down here and the arm and the boom is like this, then you can't get it up far enough. Because then you go to pick up something with some forks and you can't tilt it up. So there has to be a compromise. And this is exactly where it needs to be. Like within 1 degree. I couldn't ask for more than that. And I don't think I'll ever have this boom in this situation. But basically this thing is like a track telehandler right now. I mean, it can't lift quite as much as a telehandler can, but I could easily put a stack of plywood on the second floor of this house right now from the back side. From the front side, I could actually reach the roof. And you know what's unfortunate? I think I could easily pour this foundation tomorrow. Concrete truck's coming tomorrow. I think I could easily pour this foundation with that concrete bucket on here right now. But I already scheduled a pump truck, and I haven't tried the concrete bucket with the weight in it yet to see how tipsy it was or anything like that. So you know what, we're just gonna do one more concrete pour with a pump truck, and then anything after that I'll definitely use that concrete bucket, and I'll use it for backfilling the stone and stuff too, because that's always a pain to try to reach way in there, and you always waste a lot of stone like that. But I have other jobs coming up where I need to pour concrete. I need to pour footings, a slab, and a foundation coming up other than this project, which reminds me that I still do have the slab to do in there too, so maybe we'll see if we can utilize that concrete bucket for that, because I can actually reach up and over into the foundation with that, so that should be nice. I want to go back and get this thing painted up, and then I think I want to start trying all different kinds of attachments. I'll try every attachment I have for the skid steer with this thing. This grapple, I could see if you have it the way I had it, it would work pretty good. But also if you turn it backwards, then you can kind of reach like this, and it could kind of be like a rake with a thumb on it. So once I get things shaved down so I can turn that around backwards, then that might actually work pretty good. The only thing is I need to extend these hoses here by like a foot. But I've always needed to do that. These things are always stretched out to the max with the skid steer. Like when you tilt it all the way forward, it's putting a lot of tension on those lines, so I think I'll just make up new ones. I mean, I got the capabilities now, so it's no problem. But other than that, I think this thing would work very well on this, especially if you were clearing a lot of brush and then using it as a rake. I suppose there's one more thing I could try while I'm here before I get this painted up. I could put my regular bucket on it and see if I can lift a bucket of dirt. Thinking about this as I was taking off the last attachment. This is going to be kind of a weak point. See, I bent that. I guess we gotta take it a little bit easy, because this thing's got a lot more power than a skid steer, and it's got a lot more traction too. So normally with a skid steer, if you're going into a pile and it's too much, then the tracks will start spinning on the skid steer. But this thing, it's not stopping. It's got the steel tracks, and it's just twice the weight of a skid steer. So it's going forward whether you like it or not. And I think this frozen pile of dirt is probably not the best option. At least it shows me where the weak point is right away, so I don't get too crazy with this thing. This is a frozen pile of dirt, so it's definitely going to stress this thing out more than usual. And if that didn't break, I probably could break that bucket pretty easy too. So I guess I gotta take it easy. other problem I had was these quick change adapters are cheap, and this one is not, it's not locking. Like that bolt right there, that nut on the end of the stud is not going past this part here, so it won't lock. I don't know why that is. It's like the wedge needs to be pushed down another 1/8 of an inch, and then it will go past it, and then it will lock. Like the other one's locked. See how this is past. So that's locked in. Maybe that's what happened, is that one kind of came unlocked, and because of that, this one got bent. Yeah, that's what happened, because that one didn't get bent at all. Only this one. So it got crooked and it bent this one. That's what happened. So maybe I don't need to be so delicate, but I still think this machine has way too much power for just not paying attention. So I have a big 600-pound sandblaster, but I just decided to use this one. The nozzle is much smaller. You can get it in tighter areas. It's just, it's overall a lot more pleasant to use this one than the big one. So I didn't even use one bag, and I got most of this. I could have done a better job if I got all geared up, but it's a pain to put the Tyvek suit on and the mask with this air supply to it and just all the different stuff to it. It's something I didn't really want to spend too much time just to get this prepared. So while I would like that to be looking like a piece of aluminum, it's not really necessary. So what I'd like to do is just fabricate 2 little wings that go on the side here. Something that maybe bolts on. That way I can take it off when I'm not using it, like with concrete. So if any of you have ever tried to remove a large amount of rust from a flat surface like this right here is what you want to use. It's way better than a grinding disc and a flap disc. It's definitely by far the quickest way to get rid of that rust. Alright, so here's what I got. That's about the angle that I want right there. And so what I'm going to do here to make this attach and detach quickly is take this piece of angle iron. I'm going to attach that, and then I'm going to make a gusset from here up. No bolts. Just kind of hook and loop. It's about as solid as can be. And remember, this is just to catch stone that's falling. No weight is really ever going to sit there, so it's really not going to see that much force. Just to kind of guide the stones in, I'm going to put this 2-inch angle iron right here. And also that will help the rigidity of this thing. think I like that a lot. I think that's ready to go. I just got to duplicate that on the other side, and then I'm thinking maybe round over the edges, just add a safety. Then I can just paint these up, and tomorrow I can use this thing. Check out how strong this is. I don't know, it looks like those lines are a little bit too short. I'm sure they'd be fine for a skid steer, but this excavator's got more of a range. But I know a guy that makes hoses, so we'll go see him in a little bit. So I think on this end where the quick coupler is, I want to make that a straight instead of a 90. So I have a lot of fittings, but I don't have a lot of fittings that convert sizes. So that's a 1/2 inch NPT and that's 1/4 inch JIC. So I need to find a way to adapt a 1/4 inch hose to a 1/2 inch. I am going to order a bunch of fittings now that I see what I need, but now I'll order them. But I think I got what I need to make this work for now. It's going to be a little bit of a Frankenstein thing, but I got 1/2 inch NPT male to 3/8 NPT female, and then this piece here is going to be 3/8 male to 1/4 inch male JIC. Oh, I was mistaken about that. This is 1/4 inch. That's actually 3/8. Look at the difference between 3/8 on NPT and 3/8 on JIC. Both of those are 3/8, just totally different. You know, I think I'm just going to have to use 3/8 hose because this is a 3/8 end on a 1/4 inch hose. And that's what's screwing me up so much. I think I could eliminate a lot of problems if I just made this all out of 3/8 hose, because the 3/8 JIC that I need for this, I don't have the right adapters to make this work. So it's going to look a little bit weird with a neck size hose on there, but it's just an extension. It doesn't really matter. Go back to this on this one. So now I guess I got this arrangement. I thought that was 1/4 inch, but I guess not. But either way, it works. So I guess we're just gonna make a 3/8 hose. Let's see, one end will be 3/8 female. JIC. That's for that end. The other end will be 3/8 male JIC. So that will go on this end of the hose to extend it. Okay, so for 3/8 hose, so we're looking at 20.32, so we got to use a 17mm die. Well, I guess I already got 17 in there. So apparently I already have this set up for 3/8 hose. We don't even need to mark it. Good to go. So it was 40 degrees and sunny. 5 minutes later, it's 25 degrees and blizzarding out. Go figure. I've said this on many videos, no Teflon tape for me with hydraulic fittings. Or even pneumatic fittings, but especially hydraulic fittings. Loctite 545. So I'm looking at the width of that with those wings on there. It's going to be really close to see if that stone stays in there from the bucket of the skid steer. The skid steer bucket is 74 inches wide. That should be about 78 inches wide. So I guess all we can do is try it. If it doesn't quite work, I can always extend these, and for right now we can always kind of like put the stone on one side of the bucket. But let's just try it. Let's see what's the deal with it. This is number 1 stone. I'm going to be backfilling that foundation. I could put the boom out a little bit so that's not in your way. You want me to do that? No, I think you got it. Yeah, it's a little bit. Bucket's a little bit wider. It's definitely going to spill out the sides. Oh well. Kind of live and you learn. Try not to hit it. I mean, most of it went in there. Another half a bucket. Try another half a bucket. I mean, at least there's nothing on the chute still. I was a little bit worried about the angle of it. But if the stuff starts stacking up on the chutes, I'm going to be in that machine anyways, and I can just sort of shake it and then it should fall in there. It's not a big deal if we have to load it like 3/4 full for right now. Should be about 3/4 of a yard, 5/8 to 3/4 of a yard. not too bad for the first time. You know, I'm still getting used to the controls, first of all. Second of all, this thing is meant for concrete, not stone. So I was taking a little bit of a gamble by trying to do it with stone. And had that stone not been frozen, I think it would have worked a lot better. There's frozen chunks in there, and also just the frost around it just sort of makes resistance as it's pouring out. So I think it still worked really good. I think I should probably remove the wings before I bring it down there, because I noticed that from shaking things around, one of the wings fell off. And I think that this thing needs to be shaken around to get all the stone out. We'll see when there's no frost. Maybe I won't need to do that, because this stuff usually flows pretty good. Number one stone is really good for that, because there's no fines in it, so it doesn't really pack itself in there, and it really free flows pretty nice. But again, it's totally frozen. You can see the frost around it. So while it is still loose, it's not exactly like loose enough. I think also one thing I'm going to do with this attachment is secure this somehow, because when I was shaking that around while it was down like that, it did fall off. But you know, this thing was designed for concrete, so I don't think you really need to shake it when you have concrete in here, unless you got like a 2 slump. So with that in mind, I think this attachment is going to work really well, even for stone, which it's not meant for. And also, you know, putting the wings on it, again, it's not meant for stone. And normally you'd have a concrete truck and you wouldn't need to have the wings on here. So I think this attachment would work really well for what it's supposed to do, and exceptionally well even for what it's not supposed to do. And also, this is meant for a skid steer too. Not like it really makes a whole lot of difference in this instance, because I don't think much would change if it was on a skid steer. You'd still have to shake it. But again, the being meant for concrete, not stone, I think is the big thing. But I'm happy. I mean, I just backfilled a third of this foundation before putting in the drainage pipe, and that was very painless. Normally, I've made chutes out of plywood, and also you can use the excavator, but that's a pain when the bucket is like that. You could kind of get it from up top here, but it's not exactly that fun. Turning the bucket around backwards, you can do that easily, but not every machine is going to be able to do that. This one can, but not every machine is going to be able to do that. So yes, I don't need this to do what I'm doing, but I figured I got it, and I kind of missed the concrete pour that we did, so I should test it out for other things. You know, that reminds me, let's just go around the backside and see how this would do with pouring concrete. You guys saw me waste $1,300 for a pump truck when I could have done it with this bucket. I'm pretty sure I could have. Let's test it out. I told you I could get plywood up to the second floor. That's right about where the second floor would be. The floor of the second floor anyways. And that's from down here. Now imagine from up there, 8 feet higher. Now you can get plywood to the roof. Could put the man basket on it too, but I don't know if that's really that safe to do because there's no cylinder locks on this. But in a pinch, I guess you could do it. Probably want to wear a safety harness. But most of all, this is a track telehandler right now. That's awesome. A tracked and pivoting telehandler. I'm actually really excited for this conversion. I can think of so many different things that I can do with this. What's nice too is if you got like attachments for the skid steer that you want to also use on this, but you don't want to buy another one, well now you can. Instead of buying a whole nother attachment, like the forks, for instance. And like my concrete mixer too. Well, I better get back to work here. We got a lot of work to do. We got to backfill this foundation. We're getting almost 2 feet of snow in the next few days, so I'm hoping to get this thing backfilled. That way I don't have to do any more dirt work for a while. And if you're looking for good attachments or even like car lifts, a whole bunch of different things, you can check out equipment-outfitters.com, and I'll leave a link in the description, and I have a discount code that you guys can type in to get 7% off. But that's about it for this video, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.